Louis, what the hell were you thinking? Mom's voice cracked like a whip. I shrugged, trying to look nonchalant. It was just a video game. You stole my credit card. Dad cleared his throat. We've decided you need to learn a lesson. My stomach dropped. What kind of lesson? Mom's eyes glinted. Pack your bags. You're spending summer with Uncle Ronnie. What? No, I protested. That's like a million miles from civilization. Should have thought of that before your little shopping spree, Dad said. The next thing I knew, I was in the back seat, watching the city fade away. Layla, my sister, nudged me. Nice going, genius. Now we're both exiled. I rolled my eyes. Whatever, how bad can it be? 3 hours later, we pulled up to a weathered house by the sea. Uncle Ronnie emerged, looking like he'd been preserved in salt air. Welcome to Grover's Peak, he grinned. I stepped out, eyeing the empty street. Where's the nearest mall? Uncle Ronnie laughed. Mall, kid, you're gonna love my gift shop. It's all the entertainment you need. As we lugged our bags inside, I caught a glimpse of a boy with dark hair peeking from behind a tree. He ducked away when I looked. Little did I know that boy would change everything. Uncle Ronnie's idea of entertainment was dusting antiques. After 2 days of mind-numbing boredom, I was ready to lose it. I slouched in the living room, staring out the window. Crack! Something hit the glass. What the? I jumped up. A baseball rolled across the lawn. Behind a tree, I caught a glimpse of dark hair. I yanked open the door. Hey, you gonna get your ball or what? The boy emerged, hands shaking. Please don't tell your dad. Relax, it's my uncle's place. I won't say anything. On one condition. His eyes narrowed. What? Got any video games at your place? He grinned. No, but I've got comics and cable. Close enough. I'm Louis. 7, he said. I blinked. Your parents hate you or something? He laughed. Nah, they're just weird. Want to come over? I glanced back at the house. Uncle Ronnie was lost in a history book. Hell yeah, I said, following 7 down the street. His house was a mess of surfboards and beach gear. In the living room, I spotted Layla chatting with a girl around her age. That's my sister Brenda, 7 explained. Layla looked up. Made a friend already. Guess exile isn't so bad after all. I flipped her off when 7 wasn't looking. We spent the afternoon reading comics and watching TV. When the sun started to set, I realized I didn't want to leave. Same time tomorrow? 7 asked. I nodded, feeling something shift inside me. Wouldn't miss it. As I walked home, I couldn't shake the feeling that this summer might not suck after all. Grover's Peak became my summer home. Each year, I counted down the days until I'd see 7 again. At 14, we were inseparable. One scorching afternoon, we sprawled on the beach, sand sticking to our skin. Louis? 7 propped himself up on his elbows. You ever kissed anyone? I felt my cheeks burn. Nah, you? He shook his head. Want to try? My heart raced. What, like now? Before I could chicken out, his lips brushed mine. Quick, soft, gone. We both burst out laughing, trying to hide our nervousness. That wasn't so bad, I said, my skin tingling. The next summer, things shifted. 7 got taller, his voice deeper. I caught myself staring more than once. We were at our spot in the woods, the massive boulder we'd nicknamed our kissing pedestal as a joke. Only it didn't feel like a joke anymore. Remember last summer? 7 asked, his fingers brushing mine. I swallowed hard. Yeah. Want to try again? This time the kiss lasted longer. When we pulled apart, everything had changed. 7 grinned. Damn. Yeah, I breathed. Damn. We didn't label it, didn't need to. But from that moment, every touch felt electric. Every glance held a secret. As we walked back to town, our hands kept bumping. Finally, I grabbed his, intertwining our fingers. 7 squeezed my hand. This okay? I nodded, unable to stop smiling. More than okay. That night, lying in bed, I replayed the kiss in my mind. Summer romance was one thing, but this felt like falling. And I wasn't sure I wanted it to stop. The summer I turned 50, everything went to shit. 7 met me at our usual spot, but something was off. He wouldn't meet my eyes. What's up? I asked, my stomach churning. He kicked at the sand. I got a girlfriend. The world tilted. Oh, her name's Yvette. She's nice. I forced a smile. That's great, man. Really? But it wasn't great. Not even close. Yvette was all giggles and hair flips around Seven. Around me, Ice Queen. One day at the beach, she accidentally knocked my soda into the sand. Oops, she smirked. So clumsy. Seven didn't notice. He was too busy staring at her in her tiny bikini. I retreated to our woods, fuming. Why did I care so much? Seven was just a friend, right? The sound of footsteps made me look up. Seven. You okay? He asked, sitting beside me. You've been weird lately. I shrugged. I'm fine. Bullshit. He nudged my shoulder. Talk to me. It's just, I took a deep breath. Don't you miss hanging out, just us? His eyes softened. Course I do. You're my best friend. Friend, the word stung more than it should have. Yeah, I muttered. Best friends. He leaned back against our boulder. Remember that kiss last summer? My heart skipped. What about it? Sometimes I think about it, he said quietly. Is that weird? I turned to look at him, really look at him. The curve of his jaw, the warmth in his eyes. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. Shit, I whispered. What? I shook my head, laughing despite myself. I think I'm in love with you. The words hung between us, heavy and real. Seven's eyes widened. Oh, he said. And then he kissed me. It was nothing like our previous kisses. This was heat and want and desperation. When we broke apart, panting, reality crashed back in. What about Yvette? I asked. Seven ran a hand through his hair. I don't know. As we walked back to town in silence, one thing was clear. Nothing would ever be the same again. The next summer, I stepped off the bus a different person. Taller, voice deeper, and completely terrified of seeing Seven again. He was waiting for me, leaning against a lamppost. My heart did a somersault. Holy shit, I blurted out. Seven had changed too. Broader shoulders, a hint of stubble on his jaw. He grinned. Miss me? Shut up, I mumbled, pulling him into a hug. We broke apart, both a little flushed. Yvette? I asked. Ancient history, he said. You? I shook my head. No one else. The air between us crackled with possibility. We tried to act normal around others, but every accidental touch felt like fire. One afternoon, we escaped to our spot in the woods. Seven leaned against our boulder, eyeing me. So, about last summer. Yeah. My mouth went dry. He took a step closer. I've been thinking about it, a lot. Me too, I admitted. Another step. And? I swallowed hard, and I still meant what I said. Seven's eyes darkened. Good. This time when he kissed me, there was no hesitation, no confusion. Just us, finally on the same page. I ran my hands over his new muscles, marveling at how he'd changed. He tugged at my hair, now long enough to grab. Fuck, he breathed against my neck. Yeah, I agreed eloquently. We spent hours exploring each other, learning the new contours of our bodies. When we finally came up for air, the sun was setting. Seven traced patterns on my chest. What now, when I kissed his forehead? Now we figure it out, together. As we walked back to town, hands linked, I couldn't stop grinning. This summer was going to be different. This summer was going to be ours. Little did I know, keeping our newfound relationship a secret would be harder than I ever imagined. Keeping our hands off each other was torture. Every glance, every accidental touch was electric. Movie night at my place, Brenda announced one evening. Seven's knee pressed against mine as we squeezed onto the couch. I bit my lip, fighting a grin. Halfway through the film, his hand found mine in the dark. My pulse raced. Popcorn? Brenda offered suddenly. We jerked apart. Sure, I croaked. Seven shot me a look that screamed, behave. I winked back. Later in his room, I pushed him against the door. Finally, I breathed, kissing him hard. He laughed against my lips. Impatient much? You have no idea. We fell onto his bed, a tangle of limbs and suppressed giggles. A creak in the hallway froze us mid-kiss. 7? His mom's voice. Everything okay in there? Fine, aw, Mom, he called back, eyes wide. Just wrestling with Lewis. I buried my face in a pillow, shoulders shaking with silent laughter. When fall came, saying goodbye was agony. I'll call, 7 promised, squeezing my hand out of sight of our families. Every day, I insisted. But long distance sucked. Stolen moments on the phone weren't enough. I ached for his touch, his smell. I miss you, I whispered one night, curled around my pillow. Me too, he sighed. Sometimes I think we should just tell everyone. My stomach clenched. Are you sure? What if... I know, he cut me off. I'm scared too, but hiding. It's killing me, Lewis. I closed my eyes, picturing his face. Next summer, I said. We'll tell them next summer. Promise? Pause. Oh, well, as I hung up, determination settled in my chest. One more year of secrets. One more year, and then 7 would be mine for real, for everyone to see. Little did I know our last summer in Grover's Peak would change everything. The moment I stepped off the bus, 7 was there. No pretense this time. He pulled me into a fierce hug. Missed you, he murmured into my hair. I held on tight, ignoring the curious glances. Ready for this? He pulled back, eyes determined. Ready as I'll ever be. That night, our families gathered for a farewell dinner at Uncle Ronnie's. The air was thick with nostalgia and unspoken words. Under the table, 7's hand found mine. He squeezed once. Our signal. Actually, 7 cleared his throat. Lewis and I have something to tell you all. The chatter died down, all eyes on us. My heart hammered. This was it. No going back. I started, voice shaking. In love, 7 finished. We're in love. Silence. I held my breath, waiting for the explosion. Instead, Uncle Ronnie chuckled. Well, it's about damn time. My jaw dropped. What? Mom smiled softly. Honey, we've known for a while. How? 7 sputtered. Brenda rolled her eyes. Please, you two are about as subtle as a brick through a window. Laughter rippled around the table. I felt lightheaded with relief. So, you're okay with this? I asked cautiously. Dad reached over, clasping my shoulder. We just want you to be happy, son. 7's mom wiped a tear. Both of you. As dinner resumed, now buzzing with questions and congratulations, 7 leaned in close. Well, that was easier than expected, he whispered. I grinned, feeling like I could fly. Told you there was nothing to worry about. Later, as we walked along the beach hand in hand, everything felt new. No more hiding, no more fear. 7 stopped, pulling me close. I love you, he said, eyes shining in the moonlight. I love you too, I replied, the words feeling right on my tongue. As we kissed under the stars, I realized this wasn't an ending. It was a beginning, our beginning. The weight of secrecy lifted. 7 and I were inseparable. No more stolen glances or hidden touches. We were out, proud, and disgustingly in love. One night after a bonfire with friends, 7 tugged me towards the beach. Where are we going? I laughed, sand squishing between my toes. He grinned over his shoulder. You'll see. We ended up at a secluded cove, waves lapping gently at the shore. 7 spread out a blanket he'd stashed earlier. Smooth, I teased, but my heart was racing. He pulled me close, eyes dark in the moonlight. I thought, maybe tonight. I swallowed hard. Yeah? If you want to, he added quickly. I answered with a kiss, pouring years of longing into it. We fumbled with buttons and zippers, laughing nervously. Shit, 7 muttered, struggling with his jeans. This is harder than it looks in movies. I snorted. You watch a lot of beach sex movies? He swatted my arm. Shut up. Finally, skin to skin, we paused, taking each other in. You're beautiful, I breathed. 7 blushed. So are you. What followed was a mix of awkward angles, breathy giggles, and moments of pure bliss. It wasn't perfect, but it was us. After we lay tangled together, listening to the waves. Worth the wait? 7 asked, tracing patterns on my chest. I kissed his forehead. Every second. As dawn broke, we reluctantly headed back. At my door, 7 pulled me in for one last kiss. See you in a few hours, he murmured. I grinned. Can't wait. Sneaking into my room, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. I looked different somehow. Older, happier. As I fell into bed, exhausted but elated, one thought echoed in my mind. This is what love feels like. The last week of summer hit like a sucker punch. Suddenly, every moment felt precious, tinged with the bitter sweetness of endings. Seven and I wandered through town, hand in hand, soaking it all in. Remember when we thought this place was boring? I mused, eyeing the familiar storefronts. Seven chuckled. God, we were idiots. We passed Uncle Ronnie's shop, now empty. A sold sign hung in the window. You okay? Seven squeezed my hand. I nodded, throat tight. Just a lot of memories, you know? We made our way to our spot in the woods. The massive boulder, our kissing pedestal, stood silent sentinel. Seven ran his hand over the rough surface. Think the new kids'll find this place? Hope so, I said. Everyone needs a secret spot. We carved our initials into the rock, a final mark on a place that had shaped us. The night before we left, our families threw a goodbye party on the beach. As the bonfire crackled, stories and laughter filled the air. Uncle Ronnie, looking frailer than ever, pulled me aside. You found something special here, he said, nodding towards Seven. Don't let it go. I hugged him tight. Thanks, Uncle Ronnie, for everything. As the party wound down, Seven and I slipped away to the water's edge. What do you think college will be like? I asked, watching the moonlight dance on the waves. Seven shrugged. Different, scary maybe, but we'll face it together, right? I kissed him softly. Always. The next morning, as we loaded up the cars, reality hit hard. This wasn't just a see you next summer goodbye. Brenda hugged us both, sniffling. You better visit, losers. Count on it, Seven promised. As we drove away, I watched Grover's Peak shrink in the rearview mirror. The town that had once felt like exile now felt like home. Seven reached over, intertwining our fingers. Hey, he said softly. You good? I smiled, squeezing his hand. Yeah, just thinking about how a stupid credit card mistake led me to you. He laughed. Guess your mom should ground you more often. As we hit the highway, the future stretched out before us, unknown but full of promise. Grover's Peak had given us our past. Now it was time to write our future. Together. The campus buzzed with nervous energy as we lugged our stuff into the tiny apartment we'd rented off campus. One bedroom, a kitchenette, and a view of the parking lot. It wasn't much, but it was ours. Home sweet home, Seven grinned, dropping a box with a thud. I collapsed onto our secondhand couch. Think we made the right choice? Not doing dorms? He flopped down next to me, our legs tangling naturally. Are you kidding? This way I get you all to myself. The first week was a whirlwind. New classes, new faces, new everything. But every night we'd come back to our little haven, order takeout, and talk for hours. One night, sprawled on our bed surrounded by textbooks, Seven groaned. I think my brain is melting. I tossed a pillow at him. Drama queen. He retaliated, and soon we were wrestling, laughing like kids, just like old times in Grover's Peak. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. We had our first real fight over dirty dishes, of all things. You're not at your parents' anymore, I snapped. Clean up after yourself. Seven's eyes flashed. Stop treating me like a child. We didn't speak for a day. It felt like an eternity. Finally, Seven broke the silence. This is harder than I thought it'd be, he admitted. I nodded, throat tight. Yeah, but we'll figure it out, right? He pulled me close. Always. Slowly, we found our rhythm. Study sessions at the library, weekend explorations of our new city, lazy Sundays in bed. One night, lying awake, I whispered, Do you ever miss Grover's Peak? Seven was quiet for a moment. Sometimes, but mostly, I'm just excited for what's next. With you? I smiled in the darkness. Yeah, me too. As midterms approached, stress levels skyrocketed. I found Seven hunched over his laptop at 3 a.m., eyes bloodshot. Babe, I said softly, come to bed. He shook his head. Can't. Too much to do. I gently closed his laptop. Remember what Uncle Ronnie said? About not letting go of what's special? Seven looked up, a small smile breaking through his exhaustion. Yeah? I pulled him up, leading him to bed. This, us, it's special. Don't forget that, okay? He kissed me, soft and sure. Never. As we drifted off, tangled together in our too small bed, I realized something. Grover's Peak had given us our beginning. But this, the struggles, the triumphs, the everyday moments, this was our real love story. And it was only just beginning.